Last week we had Tractor Supply Company. This week it's John Deere announces that they'll no longer fund cultural awareness parades after Backlash. So they don't want to be Bud Lighted. Let's get into it. Here we go. It would appear that no corporation is escaping the gravitational pull of woke politics like DEI policies and ESG adherence. We just don't need this stuff. We just don't need this stuff. And the big companies are kind of figuring it out because literally we had Bud Light, we had Target. Just recently we had Tractor Supply, and they're all, Bud Light. Bud Light, that branding thing with Dylan Mulvaney was just horrific. We're gonna get into that a little bit. This includes the most famous tractor company in the Western Hemisphere, John Deere. Now, when you think of John Deere, like I think of John Deere, I think of, again, tractors. I think of farming. I think of feed supply. I think of farm equipment. Green and yellow. I think of the John Deere hat. Nothing is more straightforward and less DEI than John Deere, or so it would seem, right? Because what we've got going on is filmmaker Robbie Starbuck has made it his mission to root out and expose submission to radical leftist policies by corporations, especially those that rely so much on normal Americans for their success, like Bud Light. Starbuck's recent investigation and expose of Tractor Supply Company forced the company to abandon its DEI programs and walk back any connections to leftist politics, vowing instead to focus on real American priorities, because real American priorities are the priorities of their customers. So these companies are having to learn the hard way. Oh, yeah, we're going down this road. When somebody points out that we're all involved in this crazy stuff, DEI and ESG, when we find out that, when the general public finds out, they're like, what? No. Oh, yeah, we're going to boycott that. I don't think I've shopped at Target more than maybe once or twice since that whole child bathing suit thing, right? Just nutty stuff. So John Deere, it just puts itself in the crosshairs again with its politics and with its policies. And then all of a sudden, oh yeah, we're going to have to flip flop on that. So many of these companies you're seeing that jumped on the DEI bandwagon are hopping right off, and they're going, yep, we want to keep our policies in line with our clientele. And you're like, that's a good move, because otherwise you're going to have a massive boycott on your hands. And this is what these companies know that they face unless they do an about 90-degree turn and go the other way from all this ridiculousness that just doesn't, it doesn't work in most company standards. Now, fresh off his win, Starbuck has turned his attention to John Deere, and what he discovers is massively disappointing. According to him, John Deere's submission to woke policies goes deeper than you would think for a company that primarily deals with farmers and rural Americans. He posted a video on X, but breaks down what he found in a bullet pointed list. So John Deere, they funded a pride event. Yeah, you guys can read this list. They funded a pride event for kids as young as 3. Why are we always going after the children? Why is it always little kids? Why are we having a drag reading at a library for, elementary kids? Why is that a thing? The question begs to be answered, right? Genderbread man training. I don't even know what that is, but genderbread man. Let your imagination walk in. Yeah. They ask employees to list their preferred pronouns on all communications. This is John Deere, right? That's just disgusting. Bill Gates is listed as their largest shareholder. Not shocking. John Deere celebrated their accounting and finance team taking United Way's 21-day United for Equity program. What does any of this have to do with selling tractors? So when I did United for Equity program, it promoted Ibram Kendi, the woke children's book, Anti-Racist Baby, Awake to Woke to Work, a podcast on the concept of whiteness, woke activist Robin DiAngelo, bigotry against Christians who supposedly have Christian privilege, and more. These are all things that come up with the United for Equity program. Yeah, that doesn't seem, what does that have to do with farming? Literally, what does that have to do with rural America? Nothing. The woke policies have spread across the global John Deere brand, with many of their DEI policies also being forced on their Latin America and Indian branches. Oh, I bet that goes over well. I bet that's just stellar, right? Latin America, LGBTQ and race-based identity groups at corporate. Okay, they're gonna, we're not doing any of this stuff anymore. A total commitment to DEI policies, unless you have a consumer backlash, and then you realize, maybe this woke stuff, maybe this isn't, such good virtue signaling for a company that has its values rooted in a few hundred years of, farming and equipment and things very dissimilar to the blue hair, tatted up, nose ring, protesting people that you find in the big urban cities. It's the opposite of that, or so you would think, right? Not apparently. So you got a total commitment to DEI policies. You got 95 out of 100 CEI score from the HRC. Yeah, I don't even care what that is. That's a high score, meaning they did a lot of woke stuff. John Deere did a lot of woke stuff. So now it's, we're going the other way. If there's one thing that we can say for sure, it's that DEI is expensive for corporations, as it not only requires a lot of money to implement in order to virtue signal effectively. Got to get it all up. You got to cover all your bases. It also results in fewer sales, as products either decrease in quality or the company alienates its customer base. Let's talk about alienating the customer base. Tractor Supply Company ditches everything woke, declares it won't ever touch DEI or pride celebrations. They have just gone boop the other way, right? Oh, this is not good for business. We need to get rid of these ridiculous policies immediately. So the tide has turned, and it's turned because people have pointed out how ridiculous this stuff is. And from a consumer standpoint, so much of this wokeness, so much of the virtue signaling, it's not based in what the consumers of the specific brand really want, identify with. And as a result, there's huge consumer backlashes. I mean, just enormous. The Bud Light thing was just, how many $1 billion in stock value did they lose as a result of that? So while some corporations don't seem capable of figuring out that the American people aren't into woke policies and DEI initiatives, who is really into that? So again, Robbie Starbuck, he went and said that, Tractor Supply is guilty of all this stuff. And not guilty, but hey, this is what they're doing. Does this jive with the values of a company that deals with farmers and something very unlike what you're seeing in the big blue urban cities? It's kind of a case study in opposites. When Starbuck broke the news about Tractor Supply Company, Hal Lawton was inundated with posts from angry customers, causing him to lock down his X account. Meanwhile, the company lost over $2 billion in market capitalization. After some silence by the company, it released a statement on Thursday that wasn't just a step back from the leftism the company had engaged in. It threw the car in reverse and slammed on the gas pedal. It made a list of 5 promises to its customers. Number 1, it will stop submitting data to the Human Rights Campaign. It's a good start. It will refocus its engagement groups on mentoring, networking, and supporting the business. I mean, why did you get away from that in the first place? Why is that not part of this program? Is, DEI policies, are those exclusive to mentoring, networking, supporting the business? It almost seems so, right? It will prioritize rural American concerns, including agricultural education, animal welfare, veteran causes, and being a good neighbor, and stop sponsoring non-business activities like pride festivals and voting campaigns. Now, the whole voting campaign thing, what's going on there. But whatever, as long as you're kicking all that other stuff to the side, you're basically getting back to the business you should have been focusing on all along. And that's where all this woke crap just needs to be kicked to the curb, because it doesn't help businesses. Continuing further here's what Tractor Supply is doing. It's kicking DEI to the curb and abandoning any DEI related goals. Just boom, done, out of here. All of a sudden they go from just woke to, yeah, we got to get rid of all that. So it's like the whole fentanyl Floyd thing, and all of that came from the summer of 2020 has just been forgotten about. It's like, oh yeah, we virtue signaled there for a few years, and we made it known that, yeah, we're really down with that so that we can keep all the far left extremists happy. But now, yeah, we got to get back to business. And you know what? Our shareholders say that they're not into a transgender woman trying to convince us that she drinks Bud Light. Yeah, that did not work out well, did it? Number 5, Tractor Supply is abandoning its carbon emission goals in order to focus on land and water conservation efforts. Good call. I think that is genius. You should have never strayed from that. But you had to virtue signal that you were part of the cool kids at school. And you had to go down this roadway, right? Because otherwise, oh, good Lord, farmers might not buy your products. It's like, what were you thinking? The Bud Light controversy and its impacts explained. Beer brewing giant Anheuser-Busch spent the early summer of 2023 at the forefront of consumer outrage. One of its flagship brands, Bud Light, was plastered all across headlines as its stock price declined by nearly 20%. We've got a point. The calls for boycott arose from a simple, small-scale partnership with an LGBTQ plus creator. The anti-woke boycott spilled over to several other major brands, and not just in the beer industry. In the months since the initial backlash began, Bud Light has become a lightning rod for a much larger conversation about brands and social values. You had Target, you had a bunch of other companies in there that just wanted to virtue signal and have it be known, oh yeah, we're on board with this, till the consumers stopped buying their stuff and stock price just plummeted. And then they realized, oh yeah, not a good call. We need to focus on the business basics here. We need to really get back to what's important to us. You should have never left that in the first place, you morons. But you did, and here's what you get. Yeah, you get a spanking. And I don't mean a real spanking, although that's probably somewhere in the whole, yeah, I like one of those deal. But when you're talking to farmers and people needing that kind of equipment and whatever it is that you buy that's John Deere related, yeah, this kind of stuff, not so much. This is a corporate deal, right? These are corporate deals. These aren't the boots on the ground, but the boots on the ground folks that work for John Deere have to put up with this absolute nonsense, right? Could you imagine wearing your John Deere hat and, and you're like, hey, how's your DEI score? You know what I mean? It's crazy nuts. On April 1st, TikTok and Instagram star Dylan Mulvaney, and he has just left the building, right? You don't see anything from he, her, whatever pronoun she's going with. She, I think. Yeah. They posted a short video about the then ongoing NC2 mod. You know this drill. There she is. This was literally the poster child for what not to do to your brand. But Bud Light just couldn't figure that out. They couldn't work out, this might not work out so well. Well, they found out the hard way, and here it is. Tractor Supply, John Deere, they're also the latest victims of, somebody's letting the public know that this is the roadway we're going down. And we need to distance ourselves as fast as we humanly can. Yeah, they're just literally going the other way. Here's Kid Rock. We got to watch this video. I love Kid Rock. I mean, who doesn't want to watch a video of Kid Rock blasting some Bud Light beer cans, right?
Grandpa's feeling a little frisky today. Let me say something to all you and be as clear and concise as possible.
There you go. That set off a real firestorm, and other companies, they don't want to be on the receiving end of that. John Deere now, as well as Tractor Supply. I mean, how did they not see this coming? Oh, yeah, we need to reverse all these policies. It's crazy times we live in. Crazy times we live in. All right. Thanks so much for being here. I'll catch up with you in the next one. Love to have you subscribe, do all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye for now.